Asger Skull. Chapter 3. Summary. Your people ruined my life, Donnie snapped. He started to pace around, flailing his arms out. You kidnapped Raph. You hurt Mikey. You broke Elio. But worst of all, you... Donnie paused right in front of the glass. A cruel and deranged laughter swelled from Donnie's voice. He couldn't help it, but as the memories of the invasion took over, the laughter morphed into crying. Donnie caught his breath, staring back at the Krong. You killed Sheldon. Notes. This chapter is a fun one cause we go all the way back to Mikey's story, and wrap it all up in a nice neat little bow. Smiley facile, so you will be screaming your head off when you see what Donnie was actually ranting about when Mikey snuck out and everyone else was not paying attention. Disclaimers are in the end notes. OFC may contain spoilers. See the end of the chapter for more notes. Chapter text. Dad, wake up, please, Raph wailed as he profusely banged on Splinter's door with his fist. The 5-year-old snapper was holding his youngest brother in his arms. The 4-year-old disaster twins were watching from around the corner. Donnie watched with a newfound sense of fear as the oldest was screaming and crying for their dad, who hadn't left his room in days. This was normal for them though. Their father would often isolate himself in his room, but lately he had been doing it for longer periods of time. This time was the longest one yet. Something must be wrong with him, but the turtles didn't know what. Please, Dad. Don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone, Raph screamed. The shouting caused the 3-year-old box turtle to wake up and start crying. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. Raph collapsed to his knees. Alone, 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 alone. Raph is alone, the turtle tot muttered. What's happened to E? Leo whispered to his hypothetical twin. Donnie shrugged and shook his head. Don't know, he signed. His sign language was still very limited back then, and only Leo was able to read it. Soon, Raph's eyes snapped open, but they were blank. The turtles had never seen anything like it before. This was new. Raph's teeth were baring, his breathing heaved. Then suddenly, he dug his nails into Mikey. Ow! Rafie, stop! Mikey cried. Leo and Donnie jumped into action. Donnie ran over and scooped up Mikey in his arms. Raph made carrying his brothers look easy. He grew up faster than the others, but Donnie fell backwards, holding his little brother and checking him for injuries. Leo rushed to Raph's side, tapping him on the shoulders before Raph lunged at him. It was like Raph went savage. Savage Raph. Rafie, stop It's we. Your bros, Leo screeched as Raph continued to hit him. That was when Donnie realized what was happening. Raph was out, and with Donnie as the second oldest, that meant he was up. Donnie was in charge at this very moment. The pressure, the responsibility, the struggle. It was all becoming too much. Donnie felt alone. He didn't know what to do except. Donnie put Mikey down on the floor and ran over to his dad's room, profusely banging on the doors. Without any words to form, he just screamed and cried, hoping that if he was loud enough that his father would finally hear him. Donnie turned to look over at his brothers in a panic and saw that Mikey was waddling towards Raph. Donnie shouted for his attention as Mikey climbed onto one of Raph's arms. Rafie, no, bad Rafie, Mikey berated as he smacked Raph's head with his little baby hands. He would okay. Raph's attention turned toward the youngest, and Leo took it as an opportunity to grab Raph's other arm. His face was covered in bruises, snout bleeding, and his shirt was torn up. Hush shush, Rappa. We is here. Don't be sad, Leo cried out. That was Donnie's cue. He ran over, ignoring the shuffling he heard behind the shoji door. He hugged Raph from behind, resting his chin on the oldest's shoulder. Donnie let out a comforting chirp to let Raph know that he was here for him. You's not alone. You got we, Raph. You got your brothers, Leo soothed. It took a moment for Raph's breathing to calm down. Soon, his eyes returned to normal. Raph gasped as he looked over at Leo. His eyes started to water. Leo, what happened? You're hurt, Raph shouted as he curled his arm to pet Leo's head. Sokies, Rappa-dappa. You know did mean it. You won't no do on purpose. Leo smiled his signature grin. I did that to you. How? Raph's brows furrowed. He put Mikey down to closely examine Leo. Rafie turned monster. Mikey pointed at the snapper. Like Dino, Dino Raph. Donnie climbed off of Raph's shell and walked around to face him. Scary, he signed. Donnie, no, Raph. Leo spoke up. He hesitated to interpret for Donnie. Raph, not scary. Raph started crying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, Sockeyes. We here now, you not alone. Leo gently bapped Raph on the head to stop his crying. Yeah, you're right, they were not alone. Donnie woke up to the smell of eggs and bacon. Though he had trouble falling asleep last night after Leo's panic attack, it fueled Donnie's rage to get back at the Krong, so that was his plan today. Donnie got ready for the day, and then checked his phone. eyeing the security cameras in the secret lab. He kept a watchful eye like a hawk. It would be difficult to slip out of the lair without his family noticing, but it would be well worth it. Donnie kept his eyes glued to his phone as he walked into the kitchen. He trusted his instincts to lead him to the table. "Good morning, phone addict," Leo teased. Despite Leo being in a better mood, Donnie knew his facade was bullshit. "Fuck you," Donnie replied. He scoffed and glanced up from his phone. Then he raised an eyebrow, looking around. "Is Mikey not up yet?" Donnie questioned. Raph and Leo paused, looking around too. It didn't take long for Leo's facade to drop for a second. "I'll go get him," Leo said as he put down the utility tongs and walked out of the kitchen. Donnie glanced over at Raph, who continued cooking. Since when did Raph cook? The surprise didn't last long as Donnie watched Raph severely overcook an egg. At least the thought counts. Leo returns to the kitchen, helping Raph finish up breakfast. Donnie grabbed a plate and sat down, eating his food while not tearing his eyes off of his phone. He ate quickly. Once he was done, Donnie got up, ready to get out of there with the need to hurry before anyone stopped him. The sooner he got out of here, the better. "Whoa, hold on, Don. We have plans for today," Raph said, grabbing Donnie's battle shell to stop him. "Plans? Like now? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Donnie looked over his shoulder, clearly irritated. "What the actual fuck? This totally throws off my routine." Donnie's mind quickly scrambled to figure out the sudden change in schedule. Donnie rolled his eyes and sat back down at the table, scrolling away through his phone as yet another wave of ableist comments came in his notifications. He paid no attention to reading them, deleting the comments as soon as possible, though some of the keywords slipped through, adding on to his irritation. It was then that Mikey entered the kitchen and sat down next to Donnie. "Good morning, Angelo," the purple turtle said, not looking away from his phone. "Hey, yeah, Donnie," Mikey replied with a chirpy tone. "Sup, lil bro," Raph spoke as he placed a plate in front of Mikey. "Thanks, Raph." Donnie continued getting rid of the comments, trying his best to maintain his bad boy image on the outside. The makeup helped. Even Leo was still wearing his. "So now that everyone's here, let me explain what I meant about plans for today," Raph stated between large bites of his food. "We just need to run some errands. Stuff like grocery shopping and, I knew there's something else. Medicine. I think Mikey's new prescription is ready to be picked up," Leo chimed in. "Speaking of, I think we need refills too." He looked down at his side pouch. "Well, let's make a list," Donnie pointed out. He put down his phone and began typing away at something on his wrist tech. "Great," Raph smiled. "And Mikey can come along with us too." "Yeah, as long as he's safe," Leo agreed. The older brothers all looked over at Mikey, but Mikey wasn't paying attention. He looked mad. He usually had a mad resting face when he zoned out. Mikey," Raph spoke up. "Earth to Angelo," Leo spoke louder. "Mikey," Donnie shouted. Mikey jolted and turned to look at Donnie, who finally nabbed his attention. Donnie gave him this puzzled look, and then tilted his head over at Raph. "As I was saying, we need to run a lot of errands today, so we'll divide and conquer. When you're ready, come follow me, and let's get going," Raph said as he put his plate away in the sink, and then headed out of the kitchen. Donnie and Leo both got up simultaneously, and followed Raph's actions, putting away their plates in the sink. The sun confidently waltzed out of the room, with quick strife, and the moon calmly followed behind. Donnie paused in the doorway, and looked over his shoulder at Mikey. "You coming?" Donnie asked, raising an eyebrow. That's right, he wasn't paying attention earlier. Mikey's eyes lit up. He immediately got up, and quickly followed Donnie. The soft shell grabbed something out of his battle shell. "Don't forget this," Donnie said as he tossed Mikey an orange handkerchief scarf. Donnie remembered how Mikey had to be extra cautious now, when going topside. Given his new condition, it could also mess with his immune system, and make it become compromised. And Donnie knew well enough that Mikey hated getting sick. As Mikey put on the scarf, his eyes spelled out a funny grin. He looked like a mischievous little bandit, with their hoodie and jacket disguises on. Donnie and Mikey made it to the store, with Mikey holding on to Donnie's battle shell. There was a local grocery store that was owned by a legally blind man. The turtles had been shopping here for years. Well, shopping with what money they had at the time. Donnie didn't regret anything though. The B team grabbed a cart and started going down the aisle, Donnie scrolling through the shopping list on his wrist tech. "Don't forget the almond milk for me. And Leo?" Donnie supplied as Mikey was adding the eggs to the cart. "Right." Mikey turned back and opened the fridge door to get the non-dairy milk. "Speaking of Leo, what's up with him?" "What do you mean?" "What do you mean? What do I mean?" "Leo's been acting so strange since the invasion. I thought he needed some time to process, but it just feels like he's getting worse and worse," Mikey explains with concern in his eyes. You see it too, right? No, I don't. I have no idea what you're talking about, Donnie lied. It was an obvious lie. Oh, come on. I know something's up. I know it. Don't leave me in the dark. Mikey exasperated as he tossed a loaf of bread into the cart a little too harshly. No one's leaving you in the dark, Michael. If Leo doesn't want to talk, then don't push it. I mean, you saw how that went when you arranged your little group therapy session a while ago, Donnie stated. Yeah, I guess it was too much too soon. But still, make sure to keep your eyes peeled. Mikey hushed, pointing a finger at Donnie to make his stand. Oh, my eyes are peeled all right, Donnie thought. The two continued to finish up their shopping, and then started using the self-checkout to purchase their things. Once they were done, they looped their arms through the handles of the bags, and walked down the alleyway to get out of the public sight. As they entered the alleyway, the two heard shuffling from a dumpster. Donnie didn't think much of it, assuming it was one of New York's many rats. But as they walked by the dumpster, a silverfish mutant lunged at them. Donnie quickly took out his bow staff, bapping the bug on the head. The mutant hissed and squirmed its way up the wall. The hissing attracted the silverfish's kin to swarm into the alleyway, surrounding the turtles. What the? Where did they all come from? Mikey exclaimed. They must have been drawn to the food, Donnie called out. Quick, get on the roof. The two all jumped their way up to the rooftop with the sea of silverfish scuttling after them. The bugs surrounded them on all sides, making it impossible to parkour over them to the next roof. Oh fuck all of you, Donnie shouted at the silverfish mutants with frustration. Go kill yourself, and kill yourself again in the next life, Donnie, Mikey snapped. What? I'm being sarcastic. It doesn't sound sarcastic, Mikey mumbled. He dodged another silverfish jumping out at him. He yelled, what do we do? Donnie sighed exasperatedly. I'm going to call for help. Donnie pulled up his wrist tech and used his communicator to call Raph. It didn't take long for the snapper to pick up. Hey Donnie, what's up? Raph asked from the other line. Raph, Leo, we need some backup. A swarm of those silverfish mutants are here, Donnie shouted. Silverfish mutants. Where are you? Raph asked, his voice raising with concern. Rooftop of an apartment complex, on the corner of A and 2nd Street. Donnie heard Leo in the background say something that he couldn't pick up, but the call ended there. Mikey tucked into his shell to dodge a silverfish mutant being thrown his way. His dodging seemed slower than Donnie remembered, though his focus was then veered towards the mutant bugs as he smacked them with his bow staff, feeling his purple glitchy mystic energy taking over. Donnie heard Mikey cry out in pain and drop his weapons, holding his arms. Shit, Mikey can't fight, Donnie reminded himself. The soft shell rushed over to his brother as he picked up his nunchakus again. As he tried to walk forward to charge, Donnie stepped in front to shield him wooden bow staff, at the ready his battle shell glowing a mystic purple. Stay behind me, Michael, Donnie spoke sharply. Donnie, I can help? Mikey protested. Abruptly, a portal opened near them, and Leo and Raph jumped through, weapons at the ready. Now, this is a party, Leo shouted zealously. Raph and Leo jumped into action, chasing the silverfish mutants away from their brothers. Donnie stepped in to join them, all the older brothers shielding the youngest. Raph glanced a look over his shoulder. Donnie, take Mikey back to the lair, Raph ordered. What? No, I'm fine. I can help, Mikey objected as he began swinging his nunchakus, walking around Donnie. Angelo, stop, Donnie said, grabbing the back of Mikey's shell. Let me go, Donnie. I can do this, Mikey replied. It's too dangerous. You can get seriously hurt. Mikey seemed to ignore him, and turned back towards the silverfish mutants. Donnie watched his eyes spark an orange glow as his nunchakus lit up. What the fuck is he doing? Is he insane? Donnie was nearly baffled by how stubborn Mikey was being. Why was he pushing himself through this pain? It made no sense. Mikey grit his teeth, holding up one of his arms, ready to swing and... Enough? Donnie said firmly as he grabbed Mikey's wrist. We're going home. Mikey yanked his arm out of Donnie's grip, and looked away, scowling. Donnie felt his shoulders relax as Mikey let go of his mystic power. Donnie was going to have a stern talk with him about throwing himself in danger. Too many people in their lives had been doing that. Habits. Leo, Donnie shouted, signaling the red-eared slider. On it, Leo called back. Without missing a beat, he created a portal behind Mikey and Donnie. Donnie wrapped his arm around Mikey as they both walked through the portal, reappearing back at the sewer tunnel entrance that led to their lair. As the B team made it to the lair's atrium, Donnie took a sigh of relief as the fight was over. But then he jolted as Mikey screamed into the air, stomping his foot. He avulsed the scarf off his face in a fit, tossing it on the ground. Then Mikey threw off his jacket and chucked across the room, shouting out spouts of frustration. What was he mad about? It seemed ridiculous to Donnie. Michael, calm down, Donnie said nonchalantly, a bit irritated. Mikey whipped his head around towards the soft shell. I have big emotions, Donnie. What else do you want Emmy to do? He shouted, clenching his fists to his sides. Mikey turned on his heels, letting out a groan of frustration as he stormed off. Donnie didn't get it. Whatever, Mikey's safe now, Donnie shrugged. He turned to his gauntlet, calling Raph again to see if the A-team needed any assistance. He could still hear Mikey screaming and shouting in the distance. Donnie, is everything all right? Raph asked, tension in his voice. Yes. How's the situation? Do you need me to come back? Donnie asked quickly. Oh, well, I hear. Just give me a minute to calm down, Michael, and I'll be right back out. Is he okay, huh? Oh yeah, he's fine. He's just... A loud crash echoed across the lair. It was so loud, it made Donnie shiver at the noise. He grumbled, throwing a tantrum. Donnie didn't want to call it a tantrum, but it was clear that Mikey was breaking everything in sight to blow off steam. Not that Donnie was too worried that Mikey would break anything in his lab. Mikey had his limits. Donnie focused back on the conversation, depositing grocery bags in the kitchen. Can you check to see if we left anything behind? I think we're missing a few groceries here, Donnie asked as he shuffled through the bags and started putting things away. Yeah, you did. We got it covered. See you in a bit. Raph ended the call. It was only when Donnie was done putting things away that he realized that the screaming and breaking things had stopped. He didn't know if that was better or worse. Regardless, Donnie set out to find his little brother. He found the ornate box turtle slumped against the wall in the middle of the hall upstairs of Leo's subway car and the training room. Donnie had a frown set on his face as he sat down next to Mikey, hearing him silently cry. Whatever you're gonna say, you can save it, Mikey muttered with poison in his words. What do you mean? Donnie asked, completely unsure as to what he meant. Oh, I don't know. Maybe something like, hey, don't worry, Mikey, you're okay. It'll all be okay. Everything will go back to normal, and you'll be able to fight again. Because that's how it always works, doesn't it? Mikey snapped, his arms moving around more as he ranted. Everything is just sunshine and rainbows, and it always has a happy ending, right? Well, what if I don't get one? What then, Donnie? How much longer are you and everyone else going to keep on coddling me like I'm a fucking child? I'm not a child anymore. 15 is still definitely a child in some ways, Donnie thought to say, but decided better. He was only a year older than the box turtle after all. He didn't react much to the swear. Mikey usually only swore around Donnie. But Donnie still couldn't get what Mikey was getting at. The older brother just mirrored the conversation, hoping it would lead him somewhere. That's not the case at all, Mikey. We aren't coddling you. We are protecting you. Remember, you're benched from missions until you've healed. Donnie explained as carefully as he could. Mikey scoffed. Yeah, protecting me via coddling, he sighed, pausing for a moment. Tell me, what's it like to be disabled? Mikey stated bluntly. Where the fuck did that come from? Donnie grimaced. What do you mean? Donnie asked again, even more unsure than before. Like, Mikey hesitated, trying to find the right words. You've dealt with autism your whole life. My nerve damage is brand new. So what's it like? How can you handle a disability without boiling over like I do? How do you make it look so easy? Donnie mock laughed and rolled his eyes. Nothing about it is ever easy, he hissed behind a sarcastic smile. Then he pondered on it. It's like, I dunno. I guess I never really thought about it. I was born autistic. It's not like I know a life where I'm not. It's just normal to me. Though sure, once we found out, I started to notice how different I was. But I just navigate the world differently. Donnie started to rub at the black nail polish on his fingers. I stick out like a sore thumb. I had to learn so many different alternatives to things. I gotta wear noise cancelers all the damn time that it's making a dent in my head. Yet in some ways, I don't see it as a disability. But sometimes, I can't help but blame it. Blame myself. The soft shell paused for a minute, hesitant to say the next words as they flowed out of his mind. But you, Mikey, your case is so different from mine. Dare I say, you're lucky. Lucky, Mikey scoffed. Enlighten me, Don D. How am I so lucky to have shitty arms? Because you get a cure. Mikey sat up, wide concerned eyes locked on his older brother. Donnie, I know, it's dumb, Donnie babbled. There's no such thing as a cure for autism, nor do I need to be cured. But curie do I wish I didn't have to deal with this. Even among the other mutants and yokai, I still stand out. I'm the perfect target to pick on. No matter how much I try to pull around my own weight, everyone acts like they gotta. An epiphany dawned upon him. Period. Like they gotta coddle me. Treat me like a child. Mikey nodded. Now you know how I feel, he mumbled. Donnie sighed, slumping more into the wall. Shit, Mikey. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what? That I didn't understand sooner. I should have gotten it. I need to be smarter than that, more diligent. You are smart, D. Mikey placed a hand on Donnie's knee. It was still shaky from the fight. I'm sorry for assuming you knew. That was selfish of me. I just want things to stop changing, you know. Donnie nodded. Mikey held up a fist for a fist bump. Brothers, Mikey smiled. Brothers, Donnie smiled as he returned the fist bump. Bullet, we should probably clean up before anyone notices. Donnie shifted the topic as he glanced around at the broken lamps and knocked over trash bins. Mikey quickly nodded in agreement. Later that day, Donnie was in his lab. Again, piecing the blueprints together. Again, out of all the things that I forget to back up into a file, why did one of them have to be Sheldon's blueprints? Donnie scowled at himself. In the meantime, he kept his eye out for an opportunity to sneak out again to the secret lab. He checked the cameras again at one point. Leo cut himself again. Big fucking surprise. Donnie needed to act on it as soon as possible. As long as Donnie remained diligent, he'd be able to stay on top of things. Sometime later, music echoed across the lair. Spanish music? Donnie recognized from Hueso's restaurant. Then he heard his brother screech over it.
Soy quien soy. No preciso identificación. Sé bien de dónde vengo y dónde voy. Porque soy lo que soy, y no quien quieras vos.
Shut up, Donnie yelled out into the lair. Laughter followed in response to him. Donnie groaned, turning up the noise canceling in his goggles as he started to blast EDM in them to silence out the world around him while he worked. Not long after, Donnie's wrist tech vibrated with a mystic alert from Raph. Raph never used his mystic powers unless he was actually fighting someone. Donnie checked Raph's location to see he was still in the lair in the TV room. One look at the cameras indicated that Raph seemed fine. He was asleep. But then the alligator-snapping turtle let out a quick terrified yelp as he sprang up from the beanbag chair he was sleeping on. Ah, another nightmare. Raph had been getting a lot of those lately. Donnie remembered how Raph would have these clusters of nightmares in a row before they stopped, and then came back again. Storms, Raph called them. The soft shell took note of it and continued to get back to work. A while later, Donnie got sucked into his work. Once he noted that the music from the other side of the lair had stopped, he lowered the music in his goggles and set the noise reduction back to normal. Donnie glossed over his work and noticed a few bits and pieces were missing, as if the papers had been moth-eaten. Then Donnie heard footsteps as Raph and Leo entered the room. Hey Donnie, dinner is ready, the sun said as he walked over. Not right now, Nardo. I need to finish this, the moon shouted, not looking away from his desk. Leo shushed, putting a finger to his lips. Raph glanced over his shoulder at something. Not so loud, Donald. Mikey's sleeping, Leo hissed under his breath. He's had a bad day, Raph added quietly. What? Donnie looked up at Leo, and then at Raph. His marker eyebrows raised with concern. He turned off the desk lamp as he lightly rushed to the front of the subway platform lab. Don't tell me he got upset again. What happened? Donnie asked, having trouble keeping his volume down. Another pain episode. But it's all right. Leo took care of it with that new medicine, Raph whispered. Another flare-up. How did I not get a mystic alert from that? Donnie scoffed in solemn dubiety and shook his head. Come on, let's go eat. Leo hushed as he placed a hand on Donnie's shoulder. While the older brothers ate their chili, Donnie double-checked his phone to see what he had missed. Sure enough, he did get a mystic alert, but it was overlapped by Raph's. It was too easy to miss. Damn it, I need to be more diligent. I have to stay alert. After everyone had gone to sleep, Donnie headed back to his lab. He turned the desk lamp back on and continued to work on repairing the blueprints, rubbing his tired eyes, but being careful not to smudge his eyeliner. After only a couple hours, Donnie was startled by a loud metallic thud. Thud. Mikey stirred in his sleep. His medication made his brain foggy. Crash, he grumbled, slamming his pillow over his head. Bam! Mikey fumbled out of his hammock and hit the floor. Ow! There was a roar in the distance. It reminded Mikey of a dinosaur. Dinosaurs are cool, Mikey thought hazily as he struggled to get up. Something was going on outside, and the ornate box turtle had to figure out what. Good thing he was still wearing his usual fit. He blinked his eyes open as the sun and moon both started running over to Raph's room. Mikey slowly dragged his feet as he exited his room, yawning and rubbing his eyes. He kept his blanket draped on top of his head. What's that noise? Mikey asked in a slurred speech. Your mom, Leo joked with a cheeky smile. Another crash was heard. The three of them jumped in surprise. It woke Mikey enough to understand that something was up with Raph. Leo started to take the lead. The brothers were making their way to Raph's room. I hope Raph isn't hurt. It sounds like he is hurt. Mikey's intuition began to take over. As they reached the subway car, a huge dumbbell was thrown out and broke through the car door's window, heading their way. Oh fuck, Mikey yelped and tucked his head into his shell to dodge it. The dumbbell slammed the ground like a robust steel hammer. The three paused for a moment as Mikey popped his head back out, the brothers realizing that something was seriously wrong with the oldest. Holy shit, that was a close one. Raph's definitely not acting like himself. On instinct, Donnie tapped his wrist tech, and in a moment, he caught his wooden bow staff that mystically flew towards him. Wait, what? Is Donnie getting ready for a fight? Mikey gulped and stared at the bow staff in fear. Another yell occurred from Raph in his room. Mikey didn't want to fight, even though he knew his brothers wouldn't let him. The subway car ahead of them had its doors all bent and damaged. The red-eared slider started trembling. SS Savage Raph, Leo muttered under his breath. What? Why would Raph go berserk like that? It's not like he got separated from us again, Donnie asked in confusion. Maybe he's sleepwalking. So he'd be. Sleepwalker Raph, Mikey questioned. Raph had sleepwalked before as a kid, so it wasn't a random guess on Mikey's behalf. But it didn't make sense how aggressive Raph was being. Maybe he was having a really bad nightmare. Things had been really scary lately. The thought made Mikey feel a bit somber. Donnie's mystic power shyly glowed through his battle shell. Raph, are you alright? Donnie called out as he wedged through the broken doorway into the room, Leo and Mikey following close behind. Raph ripped his pajamas, and his braces ring was broken off. The room looked broken too. The dents were random. Raph may be a big fighter, but his movements were methodical. In form, these marks were panicked. Raph was scared. He torn up his teddy bear, probably trying to reach for it for comfort. Mikey knew he could read all his brothers well. Raph was facing away from them, his breathing uneven and afraid. Raph, Donnie shouted to get his brother's attention. Raph looked over his shoulders at his brothers, and voila, scared blank eyes, like a feral animal, wary and anxious, and trying to defend himself. Donnie shifted in front of Mikey to instinctively protect him again as Leo stepped behind Donnie. But Mikey wasn't scared. He had to help Raph. And so Mikey turned on his heel and made a run for it to the kitchen. He grabbed a bucket from underneath the sink and began to fill it with water. Then he rushed over to the freezer, scooping out ice and dumping them in the bucket. Once it was full, Mikey tried to lift it up, but then his arms stung quickly. The orange turtle let out a frustrated groan as he shook off his arms to alleviate the pain. Then he focused all of his mystic energy into lifting the bucket, letting it follow behind him as he ran back to Raph's subway car. All right, let's go wake up my brother. Mikey came running over, levitating the bucket behind him. Without saying a word, he pushed Leo and Donnie out of his way and chucked the water at Raph's face. He let go of his levitation as soon as he splashed Raph, the bucket making a loud clatter as it fell on the floor. Raph shouted in disgust as he stumbled back, pressing his palms to his face. Blah, what the heck was that for? Raph yelled as he rubbed his eyes. His brothers all sighed in relief, and Leo gave Mikey a high 3. You were sleepwalking again, and scared the crap out of us, Donnie explained unenthusiastically. Look at your room. It looks worse than my mental health, Leo shouted, gesturing his arms around in front of him. Nardo, knock it off, Donnie scoffed. Raph rubbed his eyes, and then blinked repeatedly before turning around. He gasped in horror as his head darted around the room, before staring at the pile of cotton fluff on the floor. Cheech, Raph screamed as he ran over and got on his knees. Donnie stepped towards him to get a look at the ripped-up bear plush. Oh wow, Rip. Literally, Donnie exclaimed in a monotone voice. Mikey could understand Raph's sadness. Poor Cheech, I had a feeling that old bear wouldn't last much longer. What exactly happened here? Donnie asked, sitting down next to Raph. Leo and Mikey walked over and sat down as well. Raph sighed and closed his eyes, taking a moment to think before opening them again. I had a nightmare. You guys were in danger, and I couldn't reach you. It was like I was stuck behind an invisible barrier. And then, that thing showed up. Raph paused for a moment. Mikey saw the frightened look within Raph's exhausted eyes. Do you guys remember that creepy shadow dude with multiple voices? Joanne, Donnie asked. Alan, Mikey stated. Karen, Raph grumbled. Steve, Leo grimaced. The one with many names, the 4 said in sync. Mikey remembered something. Though Savage Raph got aggressive, Sleepwalker Raph didn't, though it was still unsettling. Mikey remembered bits and pieces of the first time the turtles met Savage Raph. The box turtle at the time had the claw marks in his arm to prove it, though luckily it wasn't deep and healed quickly. But the tot wasn't scared for his life. He was scared for his brother, like he was now. Well, hey, at least it's over now. W wanna hang out in my room for the night? Leo asked with a sympathetic smile. Raph grinned softly and nodded. The two got up and started heading out of the room. Mikey couldn't help but shoot Raph a worried look. He fidgeted, rubbing his blanket between pinched fingers. Something is bothering him. Something is bothering everyone, and everything just won't stop changing. Raph is having nightmares, Leo is isolating himself. And one time I saw Donnie's eyes, the soft shell yanked the blanket over his face in a teasing manner. Mikey whined in a light-hearted tone as he squirmed his arms and pulled the blanket back down to his neck. Let's get you back to bed, Magic Mike, Donnie reassured his little brother with a smile. The turtles split off, the A team heading to Leo's room, and the B team heading to Mikey's room. Donnie tucked Mikey into his hammock and kissed him goodnight on the forehead before heading out of the subway car. Mikey yawned, the comfort of sleep dragging him back to slumber. Though it was nice to have his brothers watch over him, it was getting in the way of Mikey finding out the truth. He needed to figure it out soon. Perfect. The next day, Donnie found the perfect opportunity to head back to the secret lab. It was perfect timing too. He finally got Sheldon working. After Raph took Mikey to the doctor, and Leo went to work at Huesos, Donnie was left all alone in the lair. Well, minus Papa, but he never bothered to care where anyone was going. And so Donnie started to get ready to leave, clearing out his lab. Hey Don, Sheldon called out. Gotta fix that voice box soon. Yeah, what's up Sheldon? Donnie turned back to his son, and gave his full attention. S with T, the new, look, Sheldon's optical lenses squinted. Oh, Donnie gently twiddled with the hanging moon from his mast tail. Nothing special, just theatrics. Sorry Sheldon, I can't give you all the details just yet. Are you headed? Oh, the junkyard? Donnie attempted to lie. Why yeah, the junkyard. Going to find new scraps to help you. See, can I call me? Sheldon's eyes lit up a bit. Vent been out in so long. That sentence was a stab to the heart. Donnie tried his best not to wince at it. Period. No, sorry Sheldon, it's not safe. Donnie cringed at having to lie to his robot. Oh, Sheldon droned as his circuits chirped a low whir. Donnie sighed, patting Sheldon's head. I won't be long. I promise you I'll get you back working. And then we can go anywhere you want. Donnie smiled. Anywhere. Ep. Can't wait Bertello. Sheldon hummed, and closed his eyes as the robot powered down. Donnie's brows pinched for a moment as he double-checked the wiring. Must have needed a larger power source. I'll see what I can find. Donnie took note as he left the lair, making his way to the secret lab. Once Donnie got there, he felt his stomach churn. The acid slowly burning away at the Krong melted her down more than Donnie expected. If he were to guess, some of her skeleton was exposed, though it was hard to see in the dim light. Donnie waved his hand to the orange robot as he put on his gas mask, the icy blue light still glowing. Ease up the acid potency and routine frequency. We don't want our friend here to die just yet, Donnie ordered in a low tone. The orange bot nodded and walked over to the sprinkler system. His purple replica approached him, holding a long black box. Ready to go, sir, the purple bot said. Donnie opened the box to find a handgun. It was the plasma gun the robots had been working on for him. Donnie picked it up, checking the gun. It was already loaded with one of the vials. There was a dial on the side of the gun that could control the blast power. Donnie set it to the lowest notch, just to be safe, and turned to the sister Krong. She was being oddly quiet. Nothing to say, Donnie spoke dully. The Krong scoffed. My words are inefficient to you? I have nothing to say. Funny, Donnie said with slight amusement. For a being that claims to be so significantly superior, I would assume you had a whole damn antagonist monologue up your ass. Oh, young one. My people are not the antagonists here. We were merely saving this planet from corruption. The Krong smiled. Donnie's face scrunched up with rage as he grit his teeth. He felt his muscles tense, his fingers clenching around the handgun as he waved it around. Your people ruined my life, Donnie snapped. He started to pace around, flailing his arms out. You kidnapped Raph. You hurt Mikey. You broke Elio. But worst of all, you? Donnie paused right in front of the glass. A cruel and deranged laughter swelled from Donnie's voice. He couldn't help it, but as the memories of the invasion took over, the laughter morphed into crying. Donnie caught his breath, staring back at the Krong. You killed Sheldon. Donnie looked down at the gun in his hands, fiddling with it. Oh, how satisfying it would be to put the alien in her place. But no, he can't. Donnie wanted her to suffer as long as possible. The Krong eyed the gun he was holding. Do you plan on opening this cage and killing me off now? Sister Krong smirked. Donnie scoffed, taken aback as his brows pinched. Now why the fuck would I do that? Does it look like I'm that dumb enough to let you go? He hissed. The Krong's smirk dropped. Well, you want to get your revenge, right? Then take it. Donnie shook his head in disbelief. She's trying to trick me to get me to open the cell. Donnie was furious that the Krong would even believe that he would make such a stupid mistake. He nodded over at the blue bot by the lever. The bot pulled it down, releasing the acid on the alien. The Krong didn't scream anymore. Neither did Donnie laugh. Donnie returned home right before his brothers did. He noted the text he got from Wayso earlier, stating that Leo passed out. Raph and Mikey were already on the case. Really hope that's not from the cuts. He passed by Raph's room, fixing it up as much as he could. Donnie remembered the research that he'd been meaning to get done for Raph's nightmare disorder. The better they could avoid another aggressive sleepwalker Raph outburst, the easier it would be. But nothing was ever that easy. Later that night, Donnie stayed up in his lab with Sheldon as he worked on a better battery. It'd be much easier if I had uranium. At some point, Donnie got a perimeter alert from Raph. Looked like he went to April's. Donnie shrugged it off and continued to work. Then some time later, he got a mystic alert from Mikey. Why is Mikey using his magic at this hour? Donnie's face crumpled with concern as he checked the camera in Mikey's room. But Mikey was asleep. Could his powers be activating from a dream like Raph did? Then Mikey stirred and woke up. He looked exhausted. It took a while for Mikey's face to wince. A bright orange electrical light flickered from his arms. Another episode. Donnie's eyes widened. He got up, pushing his swivel chair back, and he rushed out of the lab. Hang tight, Sheldon. I'll be right back, Donnie whispered to his robot son, though he was still deactivated. Donnie hurried over to the med bay, searching the medicine cabinets. I know there's something in here that Mikey needed to take. Damn it, what was the name of it again? Donnie got frustrated with himself for not remembering the prescription. After a while of searching, Donnie couldn't find anything. It took him forever to come to that conclusion. Maybe Leo would know where it is. Before Donnie could take another step, he noticed that he missed an alert. It was a couple hours ago in the time he spent searching. A perimeter alert from Mikey. What? Checking his tracker, Mikey was making his way over to Central Park. Why would Mikey have run off? Donnie grumbled, taking out his phone. There was no time for him to come up with some sort of lie. Mikey could get himself hurt. Come home, now, SRS, Donnie texted. He hurried over to Leo's room to wake up his twin, grabbing his bow staff along the way. Mikey was taking forever to respond. Why was he ignoring Donnie? What had gotten into him? Mikey texted Donnie back, make me? That's it. There were no tags either. Mikey always used tags when messaging Donnie. The soft shell got exceedingly more frustrated as he stomped over to Leo's room. Damn it, Angelo, Donnie shouted as he rushed down the stairs. Donnie heard something shuffle from Leo's room. Leo, have you? Donnie swung the doors open before staring at Leo. The sun was wide awake, makeup smudged, and eyes puffy from crying. Donnie sighed and shook his head, speaking quickly. Okay, I'm not even going to bother. Have you seen Mikey? Donnie knew it was a pointless question to ask, but he needed to get all hands on deck to search for the youngest. What? Wasn't he here? Leo asked, confused, still trying his best to stop crying. Well, not anymore, Donnie screeched. I tried to contact him, but he's being difficult. Ugh, I'm going after him. Find Raph too. He left a while ago. Wait, Donnie, what's going on? Is Mikey in danger? He is of me, Donnie retaliated before running off, his hoverjet popping out of his battle shell and beginning to hum. Donnie, the sun called out, but the moon didn't respond. Donnie took off out of the sewers, flying up into the sky. It was pouring rain out. The wind began to pick up. Donnie kept trying to call Mikey, but he wouldn't pick up. Not like it mattered. Donnie could still track him. Mikey took off for a while, but then he stopped at Trinity Church. It didn't take Donnie long to catch up. He could see the orange sparks of light in the distance. The youngest was wearing his jacket, but it was clear he didn't have his scarf on. This idiot? Mikey, Donnie shouted in a sharp nasally voice. Mikey spun around to see Donnie flying towards him. The kid had a strange smile on. He cackled out loud, maniacally. Catch me if you can, Donnie D. Mikey taunted as he took out his nunchaku and began swinging from building to building. The box turtle kept on laughing. Why was he laughing? Was this all a game to him? Or maybe, Mikey found the same joy in the loss of control the way that Donnie had been laughing at the Krong. Still, Mikey was hurting himself, and Donnie wasn't going to let that happen. Mikey, don't use your powers. You're gonna get hurt, Donnie screeched, straining his voice. I already did, Mikey shouted back in a light-hearted tone. He smiled as he looked over his shoulder back at Donnie. The soft shell felt a chill go down his spine. He knew Mikey could riot sometimes, but something about this time made Donnie absolutely terrified. Mikey turned around and ducked his head, continuing to parkour away as he chuckled. The rain turned into a storm, the wind quickly picking up. Mikey had to be at a disadvantage due to the pain he must be in. The orange turtle tried to act smart. He took a sharp turn, facing the direction of the wind so that he could pick up more speed. Unfortunately for Mikey, it also helped Donnie pick up more speed as well. Michelangelo, please. You can't keep this up, Donnie pleaded. Stop babying me, Mikey cried out in frustration. I'm not, just, Donnie stammered, unable to talk clearly through his anger. He can't keep this up for much longer. He's gotta run out of stamina soon. And Donnie would hate it if that happened while Mikey was still in midair. Donnie noted the others behind him, catching up to join the chase. They all had to hurry. Fast. Mikey swung his arm again as his nunchaku wrapped around another pole sticking out of the side of a building. Just then, Donnie heard a strange zap coming from Mikey. His grip on his weapon slipped. Mikey began falling from 100 feet in the air. "No, Mikey," Donnie shrieked. The moon dived down towards the earth. Everything went into tunnel vision. Donnie put all the statistics into his head. For a normal human, a fall 90 feet or higher has a 100% mortality rate. The mortality rate starts at 6 feet and gets exponentially higher. But Mikey's no ordinary human. Heck, both of us fell miles from the sky during the Krong invasion. Raph was able to catch us then. But I may not be able to rely on him now. If Mikey hit the ground, he probably won't die, but he'll definitely get hurt. It only takes 1,000 pounds of force to crack a turtle shell, varying on breed. And the force from this height would be crack. Mikey tucked into his shell on impact and began rolling before he popped back out and began running again, ducking around a corner. Donnie held his breath, panicking that Mikey got seriously hurt. He must be running on adrenaline. Donnie stopped as he turned the corner after Mikey. The youngest was trying to hop a fence without using his arms. Something must be wrong with them. Everyone else quickly caught up to the B team. "Mikey, stop. That is enough?" Donnie demanded. Mikey got up carefully. He looked exhausted, his eyes widening as he looked at the group cornering him. Okay. He seems fine enough to be able to stand. No doubt he did get hurt though." Leo let out a relieved sigh. Finally. "Mikey, buddy, are you hurt?" Leo asked as he ran up to Mikey, reaching one hand out to him and another into his pouch. "I'm fine, Leo." Mikey took a deliberate step away. "Stubborn like the rest of us. Let me see your arms. I can give you some dias." "No, I'm not in pain. They're just paralyzed," Mikey protested. "Paralyzed, just paralyzed." Donnie almost laughed at that, though it wouldn't be the appropriate reaction. Everyone else gasped, winced, or held in their cries. Splinter stepped forward. "Hand me your weapon," Splinter said calmly as he held the one nunchaku that Mikey dropped earlier. "What? Hand it over," Splinter shouted sternly. He added, "You, young man, are grounded until further notice." Mikey sighed as he spun around. Everyone gasped as they saw a huge dark red stain trickle down his jacket. Donnie tried not to hurl. This needed to end. Now. Splinter swiped the nunchaku, and then walked back over to the group. Raph and Donnie walked over. He could hear Raph's uneven breathing, but Donnie stared cold at Mikey. "What the fuck made you think that was a good idea?" Donnie asked in a hushed voice. Mikey looked like he was about to start crying. "I just wanted a normal day," Mikey mumbled. "Mikey, that was incredibly reckless. You snuck out in the middle of night, by yourself nonetheless. You don't have as much control over your mystic power, so if something were to have happened, you couldn't have defended yourself. Furthermore," Donnie rambled on, "we can't risk another fuck up. Why is it like I'm the only one here paying attention to the details? I know every single damn thing that goes on between our walls. Don't you notice it too?" "I know you do, you said so yourself. So for fuck's sakes, stop hiding the truth." "Sure, that may make me sound like a hypocrite. I mean, I got a secret lab and shit. But still, perhaps it's time we all stop hiding and face the facts together. It would save us a lot of trouble in the future." Donnie took a breath, slowing down his thoughts. And I could tell you weren't even wearing your handkerchief scarf either." "So, sigh, Leo." The moon ended his spiel and looked over at the sun. Leo nodded and pulled out a thermometer. "It's okay, you guys, I'm all right," Mikey murmured. "Mikey, I'm not going to argue with you on this," Leo interrupted as he stuck the thermometer into Mikey's mouth and waited for a moment. Leo took it back out and gave it a quick glance. "Yep, he's definitely sick," Leo sighed. "Then that settles it. We are heading back," Donnie stated. Notes, disclaimers, suicide threat, it's all in good fun. Disassociation, panic attacks, more torture yippee, self-harm mention, eating disorder mention,